Hello, my name is Brad.
And I'm Sunny.
And we are
the Two-Faced Detectives.
And welcome to this video quick tip of the day.
And as we all know, there are 7 universal facial expressions. And they are fear, anger, sadness, surprise, contempt, disgust, and last but not least, happiness. Today, we're just going to focus on one, and that's fear. In later videos, we'll discuss each expression one by one.
So let's begin. We see here in the first image a baby that is showing a perfect example of fear. Note the eyes. In fear, you will see what is called wide and white. There's a lot of white showing above the iris. This is a very good indicator of fear, as well as there is tenseness of the lower eyelid.
Now take a look at the eyebrows. They are raised and straightened.
Now this baby is biting its lower lip in this picture, which is not an indication of fear, so we'll ignore that. But the lips are slightly pulled back in fear.
Now we're going to scroll through some images and see if you notice a common thread here of details of fear that we just described to you.
Now you might have noticed some images of things that we didn't cover about fear.
Like this image, for instance. Here we see a woman touching her neck, but you don't see any other indicators of fear. But neck touching is an indicator of discomfort in fear. And women, they usually will touch their suprasternal notch, the dimple in the neck, which is what she is touching here.
And in men, it's usually what we see here. It works as a way of self-comfort.
Another thing we see is tenseness in the neck muscle. At times this may be all we see in a subtle expression instead of a full-blown micro or macro expression in the face. On a side note, another possible indicator of fear could be a hard swallow. This can be a side effect of fear mixed with nervousness.
This is an expression of a woman named Jennifer Wilbanks. You might remember her as the runaway bride. This is not an example of fear, although you do see some whiteness of her eyes above the iris, and she has that wide-eyed look. This is how she looks in all her photos, and can be an indication of a disease such as hyperthyroid disease.
Hyperthyroidism can cause ophthalmopathy. Nailed it. Which causes a widening of the eyes like we see here. Another indicator of overactive thyroid is that a person will usually be underweight. So if you notice this in someone, please inform them to get themselves checked out by a doctor.
Now in this image, what we don't see here is fear. Of course, this is taken from a movie, so the actress is not displaying fear correctly. But looking at her eyebrows, they are pulled down into the middle. And this is what you would see in anger. There is no wide and white going on here. As for her mouth, she is screaming, but we still don't see any indication of fear here either.
Now we're going to look at some motion pictures so we can see fear expressions in action. Remember, expressions can vary in degree and intensity. They can also be masked, so we can expect to see only subtle expressions at times. The first video we examine is of a scam artist being confronted by the news crew. This is a perfect example of a full-blown fear expression, also known as a macro expression. Macros usually last anywhere between a half second to several seconds, whereas micro expressions can show as fast as a 25th of a second. And a micro expression will show the entire expression on the face as well.
Can you tell me where you're getting these phones from?
It's not even
Not even here? I want to ask you a few questions about these phones. Could you tell me where you're getting these phones from?
Excuse me?
Could you tell me where you're getting these phones from? What's this channel news?
It's not even
It's not even yours? Whose is it then?
This next video is of a subtle expression. In this case, it's quick like a micro, but it's being masked, so as to only leak a little on the face. This video is of faith healer Benny Hinn. He is being confronted by a reporter who had a Confederate pretend to be ill and receive a healing from the fake pastor. I say fake because, well, besides the obvious, when told that the woman Benny healed was working for the reporter, Benny showed a subtle expression of fear in his mouth. Take a listen.
Remember that woman supposedly cured of polio? Pastor Benny knows it made for a great episode of his TV show. He knows it probably helped squeeze even bigger donations from his flock. But there's something he doesn't know.
That woman works for us. Woman doesn't have polio, never did. Then why did you say that woman works for us? Works for us.
In this next video, we will see a much more subtle expression. In fact, if you didn't know what you were looking for, you would probably miss it completely. In this video, George Bush is being questioned about the terrorist attack in Boston. With many people thinking that 9/11 was a conspiracy, George is reluctant to use that word. But when he almost makes the blunder, his wife shoots him a look and shows fear in her eyes at the moment he corrects himself. This is very subtle, but if you look closely, you will see her eyes widen in fear, ever so slightly.
Deeply concerned that this could have been, another organized, another organized, another organized, another organized, another organized, highly organized attack on the country. And it still may be. Again, I don't know the facts, but
Well, this has been our quick tip on fear. We hope you learned something.
And our next video will be on the expression of surprise and how it relates and differs from fear.
We thank you for watching, and this has been the Two-Faced Detectives.